I'm trying to deal with the insurance company myself so far. The problem is, I've never dealt with anything like this before, and I'm really worried about saying or doing the wrong thing. I'm lost, and I don't want to screw this up. Now, they keep saying that they need more paperwork, and I have no idea what exactly that paperwork is and how to get it. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. What should I do?
I want to be clear. What follows is legal information. It is not legal advice. Everybody's circumstances are different. This is why we constantly tell you call an attorney and talk to an attorney. We want to make sure that your unique circumstances are adequately represented and you aren't just taking a generalized response and deciding that that will apply to your situation when it doesn't. You talk about the insurance company keeps contacting me. They're probably trying to get a statement. And what you say in that statement will matter a great deal as to how they determine liability, how they determine which injuries are related, which ones they can actually get away with not paying. Because they're going to ask about your pre-existing injuries. They're going to ask about, how you were driving at the time. They're going to set up a series of questions that if you do not navigate it correctly, can destroy your ability to recover. And that's, again, why you hire a lawyer, because they're going to ask for a statement and we're going to say, absolutely not. When you want a statement, we'll wait till depositions and we'll deal with it then within the context of a lawsuit. And also we're going to depose the other driver so that there's traps on the other end for the other driver to make sure that it isn't all just you trying to dodge all the traps. So it's about leveling the playing field. You know what I mean? Like if I need, for instance, I'm an attorney. I'm not a mechanic. If my car breaks, I'm not going to, DIY it. I'm not doing it myself. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I go and talk to somebody who I trust. And attorneys, much like mechanics, you shop around a bit sometimes too. You're trying to find somebody you can trust. And our hope with all of this is that you understand that we're on your side. We're trying to help you. That is the goal of an attorney. I know there are people that give our profession bad reps and bad names. There's snakes. I get that. I do. That's part of why we do the biker lawyer side of it. We wanted a no-nonsense version of this. We didn't want to have nice suits and smarmy smiles and all that shit. We just wanted to ride motorcycles and protect the community. It was a very simple mission. It was a very simple premise. And we followed through with that for over 20 years now. And that's why I think when it comes to shopping around, you're going to stop after you see us, because I think you're going to see exactly what the community thinks of us. I think you're going to get to see the good that we've done for people. And the fact that we aren't rich men. We're not in this to become rich. There are lawyers that are trying to clear 7 figures. I'm not trying to clear 7 figures. I don't care about the money on that front. I just need enough to keep helping people. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
I like that. And I think that that's one of the other advantages that we at this firm have, is that these insurance companies have huge legal teams. But because of the experience of this team, you're very connected to the community. And I think that's a rarity. One of our most popular pages on our website is actually for biker events. Right. And it's because you guys actually go to these things, they can go there, meet you, get free merch. It's pretty awesome. And I think that's something that I don't see a lot of other firms doing. And I'm sure there's a reason for that.
That's kind of part of it too for us, is knowing that if you need to reach us, if you need to find us before you're injured, you can do that. We're going to be at a couple different biker events every year at least. And we'll probably do that in perpetuity as long as they exist, because I think it's important that we have roots in the community. And it's important that people can find us and talk to us outside of a stuffy office in suits, that they can see us in our biker gear, hanging out, chilling, relaxing, talking to everybody. And if you've got a question or a query, just come up and talk to us. We're gonna hand you some free stuff, because we got lighters and kickstand pucks and all this merch that we're handing out for goodwill, because these are things you probably need as a biker, and it's worth having, especially the kickstand puck. I've seen so many people's bikes go right through the mud.
That and the koozies.
Yeah. It's a party kind of event sometimes, we got to make sure everybody's good.
One of the other things I've seen you guys do that I think is really cool, that I know I've never seen another law firm do. Yeah. They may say, "Oh, we ride," but they definitely aren't. They ride a motorcycle because they want to have a picture of them on a motorcycle more than anything else.
Sure.
And one of the things that I think is really powerful is that I've seen you guys go on benefit rides, and not as sponsors, but actually pay and participate in some benefit rides. And I think that's really cool as well. So I don't think there's really a better way to show how much you genuinely care about the community than actively being in it, and not in a, "Hey, come talk to me" smarmy way. You know what I mean? Like, there's some authenticity to that I personally appreciate.
That's our goal. We don't need all the recognition for being in the community. We're happy if people recognize us. We're happy to say hi, but it's not the point of all of this. Sometimes, people die. Sometimes people have expenses that they need help with. Well, I don't understand this mentality that corporate America has where they feel like they're allowed to be apart from the communities that they serve. And you see that with the insurance companies. I think that's really been the problem with insurance companies is they're so far removed from the communities that they're serving at this point.
Hmm.
You have your point of contact and you probably have never met that person. Whoever sold you insurance, odds are these days it was over the phone, it was done digitally. You probably never met them. They probably have no idea what your house looks like, what your passions are, what you're trying to do with your life. They're completely disconnected from you. And yet they talk about how they're going to be there like a good neighbor and how
Yeah.
they're going to save you in your time of need.
Yeah.
And then they slam the fucking door in your face the moment you're injured.
Yep.
And I just can't stand that. Like it's time to get back to the roots of what makes America a good place to live in. And in the Midwest, that means getting to know your neighbor. That means being a part of the community. That means if somebody needs help, you help them out. It's just not that complicated. And I don't understand why people don't do that as much anymore.
And we actually see that all the time. You've said many times before, and I totally agree with this, that if they really were your good neighbors and they really were your friends, they wouldn't spend millions of dollars a year trying to prove it to you by running ads on everything. And the sad fact is that when the rubber hits the road, when the shit hits the fan, as it were, that's not the case. I'm reminded of when the tornadoes came through a few years back. My house was actually hit, and was my insurer. And yeah, they took care of things, and it took a while, but soon after, pulled all residential coverage from the Midwest. And you're seeing the same thing with the wildfires in California, is that those insurance companies are starting to pull coverage. And it's like, why? Because those aren't profitable, because they actually have to pay out for the thing people have been buying insurance for. And I think that's very indicative of that industry as a whole, generally speaking.
As long as insurance is for profit, you're going to see them try to cut costs and save in ways that hurt the people they're trying to insure. And I think that's just how it's going to be. Personal opinion, insurance is something that should be handled because you pay taxes. Because what is the point of paying taxes if not for security and safety nets in a time of crisis? That is the reason that we agreed to taxation in the first place. But the point is, we're an evolved society, at least we should be. And we should be protecting the people within this society. And your taxes should be going to that. Well, insurance to me is like paying taxes twice. And do you feel protected? You know what I mean? Like I have insurance on a number of things, and you have to have it by law. If I want to drive, I have to have insurance, right? And if we're smart, you're going to have more than the state minimums because those are insufficient if you're ever in a catastrophic kind of collision. But do you feel protected? No, you know that you're paying for the privilege of fighting them someday if things go awry. That's what you're paying for. And that's not right. It's not right. If they really were a good neighbor, your good neighbor doesn't call you a liar when you call them and say, hey, I got in a crash and it was the other guy's fault. They don't go, I don't think so. I think maybe we'll take a look into this and figure out if probably we don't pay you because we think you were also at fault. And here's how much. They don't do that. A good neighbor would sit down and go, okay, let's go through this together. I'll hold your hand the whole time and we're going to get through this. And they won't do that. So we're going to step up to the plate as attorneys and we're going to fucking do it.
Nice. Nice. And that actually brings us to the end of this round of questions. Now, we do encourage you to subscribe if you haven't already, leave a like, but most importantly, leave us a comment. If there's something that we touched on that you'd like to know a little bit more about, or if you have questions of your own, all hypothetically speaking, we're happy to tackle them. And in the meantime, if you need help after an accident, make sure you go to thebikerlawyers.com and reach out. Our team is excellent at what they do, and they are more than willing to help you and listen to you. So if you're injured, ride with us.